Welcome to the 15th episode of the Dapper Gaming Podcast for May 20th. I'm your host, Ryan, and finally back after weeks without internet, Tyler,
some of
the
the most
man.
some of the most depressing times of my life.
Did you have to go outside and play?
No, I tethered my phone to my computer and then had internet that way instead of going outside to play.
So that you could log
Uh,
into Steam
well,
and
no, well, yeah, so I could log into Steam and talk to all my friends I have on that.
no, and
No,
then play your games, I meant.
yeah, oh, no, if only my phone's internet's pretty bad and the reception in my apartment's
Yeah, but it
terrible.
should be enough to log into Steam and play single player stuff.
Oh, that's true. Probably is, but I also forgot my computer chair for last week, so I had a desk but no chair. That was a weird situation. It's been a long week, so
Don't worry, when I moved into this place, I didn't have a couch in like this room. There's a couch behind me, as you can see. Well, you can't see, but
I know
everyone
what it
else
looks.
can. My room doesn't change. There's a couch behind me every week, but I didn't have anything to sit on in this room. My
Mhm.
office had no chairs, so I just sat on the floor playing PC games on my TV for like a month.
Oh man. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Oh.
just like with a pillow against the wall.
Propped up and no, that's one thing. Whenever I'm on my computer, I have to be in the desk, or else I can't. It just doesn't feel
Well,
comfortable.
I had a desk. It's just that I didn't have anything to fucking sit on at the desk. Like my desk is like fairly tall, so like
Oh,
even if I
so
had like there was just I didn't have anything fucking like no chairs or anything.
a trash can, flip it over.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, but yeah, I'm back and it feels great.
What have you been playing? Nothing?
Uh, uh not nothing, but not a a whole lot of anything. I've been playing Team Fortress 2 a lot.
We
Well,
should play
more.
that to get trading cards.
Yeah,
Like
I got.
horse.
Well, let me say I've been playing it mostly for the trading cards, but also because EVGA is having their gaming event. I'm like, I like to enter that, so whatever. But it's actually pretty fun. I mean, it was never a bad game. I think it's just for the fact that it went free to play. It kind of ruined it for me for a while.
Yeah, it's like the servers that I used to play on just aren't populated anymore, or they can't run the mods that they used to, or like to distinguish themselves from other servers, like they started going really crazy with the mods.
Yeah, that and I know when it first came out, there was a mod someone made that you could like weed out the people that didn't buy it, and it could be like only premium players on your server. That's kind of cool, but at the same time, that's like I don't know, kind of weird because in
It hurts your server population,
yeah, oh, yeah,
even
it
if
hurts
you
it a
get
lot.
any. I used to only play custom maps.
Right,
I used to play custom cart maps, like
like
where
the
you
Mario
push,
Kart.
like where you push the cart.
Oh, never mind.
Payload, that's what it's called.
Yeah, payload.
Um, I used to play payload maps. Those were pretty much all I played,
Hmm.
and there were some really awesome ones. A lot of them have been put in the game now, but some of them never made it into the game, which is really upsetting. My
Yeah,
favorite map of all time didn't make it into the base game, but my least favorite custom payload map made it into the game.
which one?
Is that one where you have like all the buildings? Is like all orange. Yeah, I know, right? Really descriptive. All the buildings are made out of wood, and like in the first, it never gets past like that first stage, because like there's so many defensive positions at the last checkpoint on the first stage. There's like a barn, and then up in the if you're leaving that barn, like that's where the defenders spawn in. The top left, there's a cliff that you can shoot down at, and in the right, there's like in the right hand side there's like a house kind of like mine shaft thing that you can shoot out of, and then there's a ditch that you have to push the payload cart over.
Huh. I mean, it sounds familiar, but at the same
I
time, they
can't
use
remember
a
the
lot
name
of
of it,
the
but
same stuff for
it's one of
maps.
the first ones that came into the game. One of the first custom maps that got put in the game,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it's not very good because it's really poorly balanced.
Yeah, I like to play a lot of custom maps, but now I'm kind of moving towards just regular maps because I feel if they're if the maps haven't been out long enough, they're not really balanced well enough. Like one you're talking about. I mean, obviously that's in the game now, but
It's been in the
uh,
game forever. It was one of the first
yeah.
maps that got put in the game. It's been in for like a couple years. I hate
But
that
like,
map. It's
I
terrible.
don't. I just I ended up playing on really bad maps on custom servers, so I've been kind of sticking to like more well-known like vanilla rotation. But other than that, I played a little bit of Counter Strike. Not, yeah, probably just to get the achievements, because I'm two XP away from leveling up my Steam account, and I'm kind of like this. That's stupid because you get 100 per badge, and I'm gonna be two away in the next time, and it's like always gonna be like that. That's kind of whatever. But that's, I don't know. Nothing's changed, and well, I shouldn't say that. Operation Payback, I think it was what it's called. I don't know if I ever talked about that. I think I've been off too long.
No, because I think it only came out in the last couple weeks. I'm actually kind of pissed about that, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I bought the game and now I need to buy maps to play on Valve servers. Fuck that shit.
Well, it's
Maps always used to be free.
I think they are free, but to play on, yeah, like you said, their servers.
Yeah, but those are like
It's,
the only servers.
well, I don't know. The maps for it, to be honest,
Like,
it's not
you
even
can't
worth
get
it
into
because
them in matchmaking, and that's all you use now.
you can get in through a friend though, which is good.
Yeah, but
Which,
they have to have like a pass for you. It's
oh really?
stupid. No, like maps always used to be free, so it
They
just
shouldn't.
pisses me off that they're monetizing them now.
And
And like this is one of the things that I really don't like about the recent Valve games is that like they used to be so heavily community server based, and now that they put in matchmaking, they effectively
yeah,
killed off all the community servers. I mean, we had a community server for Counter Strike Source and for CS:GO, and
yeah.
like you could not fucking populate those. It's impossible once
Even
matchmaking was put in. And
it's
same thing with
almost,
TF2. I used to have a TF2 server, but you can't
yeah.
populate that shit once matchmaking got put in.
No,
And
I
now
still,
that it's there, like there's no getting rid of it. And now that the community servers just aren't as strong, they're able to monetize map passes. Fuck that.
yeah. I started playing TF2, and when I jumped, it was probably the first time in like 4 or 5 months maybe. Uh, it's really frustrating trying to find a game because I thought you just go through this one. It's like play now, or there's a couple options now, and there's like obviously like the man versus machine, where all that stuff's like, you want us to find you a server based on what you want to like. It's like, what kind of game mode do you want? And I'm like, I just want to go browse the servers, and it took me a second to realize like how to get there, but it's kind of, it just takes you through too many steps to try to like filter out your server. Like half the fun's going on and like just picking up like going through that server list and finding like a server name you like or like a map you want to play. It's, I don't know. Like you said, it does kill it because it just filters you to their servers and not community. So, like same with Counter Strike though, which is
Yeah.
frustrating because I can't for the life of me find a gun game match, which is really frustrating. But I can find one on like Valve server, like matchmaking on there, but they don't have any custom maps, and their maps are pretty shitty. For, I mean, like they look nice, but they're not what I want to play. I want to play texture maps. I don't want to play.
Fucking texture maps.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
those were the
the
best
game.
gun game maps.
It is. I mean, I can't think of a lot of like good, like, I don't know, just not texture maps from Source. I mean, I can think of a few, but nothing that like beats like Texture City.
Not for
And
gun game.
no, so yeah, it's, I don't know. I'm like, I like Counter Strike Go, but I miss the days of Source where it was just like jump in with some friends, go play some gun game for a couple hours, and then like be relaxed, not have to get all frustrated with it. So, but other than that, excuse me, I don't think I've been playing much. I played a little bit of Torchlight. My friend started playing that again, and I basically just ran him through a couple levels. That doesn't really seem like it's changed too much. But I bought Borderlands 2 while it was on sale. I I bought a 4 pack for $40 because the game like itself now is $40. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
might as well just buy four and then like give them out
Sell
as
the
like,
other
well,
three or give them
yeah,
away.
probably sell them. I mean, like just make what I paid back on it, but sell it for like a stupid low price. So
Yeah. Like sell the passes to your friends for $10.
yeah, and then what? I mean, that means like I paid like $10 for the game. So yeah, like I'm kind of expecting it. I didn't really read much about it. I know you talked about it a little bit, and I
We
watched a
should
little bit
play
of your
some of that just because I want to
review.
beat it out of the purpose of just beating it, even though I don't like it.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's retarded, but it's just
no. I
like I have so many games. It's just like I should just beat these.
Yeah, I feel like once you beat a game, you can kind of just put it aside and then like be like, yeah, I played it, so I got my money's worth. And well, maybe not got my money's worth, but like I feel better about it. That's kind of how I think
Well,
about it.
I did
So
a review on Borderlands, so I mean I only paid $40 for it at the end of the day.
yeah,
Um, like
so that's
out or well, I'm only out $40 on it, which is a lot better than like the 70 that everyone else was out.
yeah. Seriously, I don't plan on buying any of like the season pass or all that other DLC. I just kind of wanted the game just to have and play it because I like Borderlands, but it got boring and it got repetitive. So I'm kind of expecting that with Borderlands 2, but little fresher, little kind of I don't know. It's not like a huge difference from a lot of the games I play, but it's fun to play with some people since it's co-op. But other than that, yeah, no, yeah, I haven't had a lot of time with moving and everything. So hopefully this week I get a little bit of action. And I started playing Rayman Origins uh, before I moved back, and I only got through a couple more levels of that, and I like that a lot. But I want to play with a friend because it's it's fun on myself, and I think it'd be like even cooler with more people. So I'm
Yeah, I
into
just don't want to buy that because Rayman
Beauty.
Legends comes out soon.
Oh
Like it
shit,
comes out this year.
that's is that like a sequel to it or?
It's just similar gameplay. It's another Rayman game. It was supposed to come out on Wii U for fucking ever
Oh,
ago.
that's the one they
That they delayed stupidly long.
6 months or something. Yeah.
I think it comes out in September now. So it's retarded. They should
Yeah.
have. The game was done. They should have just released it.
But
I'm upset that they didn't actually
aren't
because I don't have anything to play on my Wii U.
oh well maybe you will in the future.
Well, it sounds like I should in the future. I mean, Nintendo, like every Nintendo Direct's been like, these are all the games that are coming out in the fall for like the last two of them, the last two Nintendo Directs, and then the next one's rumored that they're announcing. Okay, they've already announced the new Mario Kart, but it sounds like in the next Nintendo Direct they're showing off the new Mario Kart, and in the
Ooh,
next one it's rumored that they're announcing the new Smash.
really?
Yeah,
I'm gonna hate seeing that because I don't have a Wii U, and that's. But at the same time,
yeah, but as
I
far
was.
as like a new console goes, it's not that expensive. I'm People are complaining that it's $350, and I'm just like, man, you wait till the new Xbox and PS4 get their prices announced because they're going to be over $600.
I mean,
At least here in Canada, where the $600 PS3 was $1,000 at launch.
why? Why was that? That does it
Because
kind
we're
of trans?
Canada. Our
Huh?
dollars were even, but we're
Okay.
Canada.
hmm
So it has to cost fucking $300 more.
What have you been playing this week?
Oh boy, I've only been playing one game because I haven't had time to play lots of games. I was gonna play Neverwinter before this podcast. I was gonna play it this morning, but I haven't played it since the beta, so I had to
hmm
download 3.5 gigs, and it took me all day.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah,
I
I
thought.
think their patching servers have to be really slow
Oh,
because
say.
when I download like a 4 gig game on Steam, it takes me like 15 minutes to download and install it. But
Yeah.
this
I.
patch took me fucking all day. So I just played my go-to game right now, which is Eodor, Masters of the Broken Realm, which is a fucking ridiculous strategy game. It's it's a grand strategy tactics RPG. It's like Heroes of Might and Magic, but with tiles.
That's. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where it's you like move your character. You can only move your character like a certain amount of spaces and attack every turn, stuff like that, right?
Well, okay, so you have like three major screens in the game. There's a universe screen which displays all of the shards, and shards are shards have like different resources on them, and they have, or well, different primary resources on them, and they, when you conquer a shard, you unlock access to new technology, like to new units. And so when you invade that, then you go onto your second major screen, which is the world screen, and it just shows like the shard, and then like your next several turns is like just battling over the shard. So like you'll go like 100 or 200 turns depending on how big the shard is. And so when you go in, you have your stronghold, which is essentially a city that you build your buildings in that give you access to recruit new units. But it's also where you hire heroes. So you have to hire a hero, buy him an army, and then he like moves around provinces, which are just polygons.
Hmm.
They're like tiles in Civ, and they have different resources and different races living on them, and they have different income values for them. Like they have a different amount of gold that they generate and a different amount of gems that they generate. Gold you use to buy units and mercenaries and stuff, but gems you use to cast spells and rituals. Rituals are like spells that work on like the world map, and spells are just, well, they're spells that you use in combat. And when you go
Yeah.
to like take over a province, you have to battle the guard, like the local guards that are for that province, and that's done on a tactics screen where you have like a bunch of tiles and you move your units around on the tiles and fight the other team's units.
Hmm.
And it's fucking awesome for a $20 game, even with it being super buggy.
What are you playing it on? Is it PC?
It's a PC only game. It wouldn't work on anything else. It would be
Yeah,
way
it's
too fucking slow. I mean, the game's already super slow the way it is. It's kind of buggy, but it's playable now. At launch, the game was unplayable. You could not, like, it would just crash all the time. So,
when did it launch?
a month ago.
Oh.
It's a follow up to a game that they released in like 2009 called Eodor Genesis, which this is basically like what they wanted Eodor Genesis to be, but they didn't have the money to make it. My like biggest complaint is that the game world's kind of bland because like there's just the traditional fantasy stuff, like there's trolls and dragons and orcs and goblins and dwarves and halflings and elves. So it's just like, but like there's only one real playable race and it's humans. So like that's quite boring, I guess. Like it's just very bland as a result.
Yeah.
Whereas like in Heroes of Might and Magic, you can play as the undead, you can play as fucking Naga, like all sorts of crazy shit. Like they're like each race in that game is fully developed, whereas this, each race has like one or two units.
I still want to give that a try. Heroes of Might and Magic.
I should get the new one, and if you get it, we should play together. I don't know, turn into a big monthly of it, like something that we should consider doing, just because I'm lazy and I don't know what to do for content. Every month we should just like sit down, like you, me, I guess Jeff if we can get him, and like some kind of a guest, and play like a 4-player game of something, record it, put it up on channel.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But only once a month, because I'm not fucking making a Let's Play channel. That is fucking cancerous. And next, we can talk about Let's Plays and Nintendo. It's a perfect segue.
Yeah, wow. Look at that.
But yeah, I've only been playing Eodor, so let's move on to this news here. This is better than last week's podcast, where we had to catch up on like 2 weeks of news.
Oh, yeah.
So everything, like everyone else had already talked about forever ago, and we're like, yeah, so this happened 3 weeks ago. So Nintendo is claiming the ad revenue on user-generated YouTube videos, specifically on Let's Plays, but the content ID system that YouTube uses, like just automatically makes claims against you. So if you like, you could still be doing a review and get tagged by the claim system and then have your ad revenue taken away from you. Not that you could. YouTube already doesn't let you just monetize fucking videos, even if you have the rights to, like, written express permission, like, unless you're partnered with, like, a network or something. because you don't have the ability to file counterclaims, and their content ID system looks for video games and will like take unmark them for monetization. I've had this problem because I've had written express permission from people, but I can't make counterclaims. And so even if a dev's like, yeah, you can monetize this video, for example, Air Mech, I still got dinged as it being a video game, and it got like removed as being monetized, but I didn't get like a claim put against me. They just said I can't monetize it, which is retarded because I had permission to monetize it, and I can't make like a claim back because I'm not popular. So
That's oh
So like this, there's an issue here in that like they could easily be hitting reviews with the content ID match, but it
right.
hasn't been happening apparently. But the the issue with hitting reviews is that those are protected under fair use. You're allowed to make reviews.
Right.
They're
It's
protected under fair use, and let's plays are also protected under fair use, but by a different part of it. It's a highly derivative work, so it would be protected under fair use as a derivative work, which is not protected for monetization. So it means that they can make it and distribute. It doesn't mean they can make money off of it.
okay.
So that's kind of one of the issues there. The other thing about fair use is that fair use can be used as a defense, but it doesn't give you free reign to do what you want. So I guess like the real big fear about this is basically that
Well,
they'll take down reviews.
I mean, I don't see them doing that because of the storm that would create, you know?
Yeah, like when
Because
Sega did it with fucking Shining Force and closed down like a ton of YouTube channels. They did that a couple months ago. Almost 6 months ago, actually.
as in like someone writes a bad review, they would target bad
No,
reviews
they
on
weren't
or is it
targeting
just
bad
like
reviews. Anything with Shining Force, they were just content flagging it and
is
closing
it
down the YouTube channels.
is that the developer doing that or is that
It was Sega
YouTube?
Japan.
Oh, okay.
With this, at least this is a little bit better because they're not making claims against the videos, but they are taking the ad revenue from those videos. So basically, like the original creator no longer makes money off the video. All that money goes to Nintendo, which is quite silly because they don't need the money.
Right. They're
I think the thing that people are really afraid of is basically that other people would start doing this as well, because what Nintendo did is basically they went outside of the partner program for like the networks. So the way that like video game channels, at least popular ones that can actually monetize their content on YouTube, the way that they work is basically they have to have a partner, and those partners have like basically pass on their contractual rights to use the content of of publishers, so of like games from EA or from Nintendo or from Sega. They pass on those rights to use those games in their videos and make money off of them. And so like a network like TGS would have express written permission to go ahead and make money off of Nintendo videos or Sega videos or EA or like video games, not their videos. So like
yeah.
they would have that written permission, and they pass that down to the people underneath them, like their channels within their network. And so basically, what Nintendo's done that actually scares, I guess, people who do YouTube full time, is that at least the Let's Players, not so much the reviewers, is that they went outside of that network system, like the way that it works already, where people make deals with where networks make deals with publishers on behalf of channels to basically allow them to monetize their content. Nintendo went outside of that kind of system and just decided to claim against everyone. And so I guess the real fear is that like Microsoft, EA, and everyone else will start doing that too. Because there's a lot of games that get Let's Played that like have no value once they've been Let's Played.
What do you mean, like the game that
When
they like?
people just play a game and commentate over it.
Oh,
Like
I see
like an
what you mean.
RPG has no value after
Right.
you've watched it played like the whole way through. At least a story-based game. A linear story-based game has the
But
same issue. So
isn't
like
isn't that's kind of not under fair use though, is it?
no, it's a derivative work. So
But
it's under there, but it it
isn't that kind of
isn't
like
protected
walking
for
the line?
monetization.
Because isn't there like a issue with like the heart of the story is if they display like the length and the heart of the story if they display too much information about um like the story. I don't know if it applies to like only books or what, but like if you like spoil an entire game, isn't that kind of I don't know.
I don't know because I'm not a copyright lawyer, so it's not my
Hey,
play.
all
That
you
that's out of my element.
all you copyright lawyers out there, message us.
Yeah,
We need to
please.
know.
Specifically, if you specialize in digital intellectual properties, because that would be great. Um, but no, I can't comment on that. But like people were afraid that basically like Xbox and EA or like Microsoft and EA and everyone else will start taking this stance as well. The thing is that they already take this stance, so I don't know why people are afraid. Like you're not allowed to, for example, Microsoft content. You're not allowed to monetize any of their games unless you have it in written, like express written permission. And it's been like that for the last 4 years. You're not allowed to monetize footage of Microsoft video games. The only people who are people who have it expressly written. People like Rooster Teeth who have an actual contract with Microsoft to monetize their game.
Right.
Everyone else isn't allowed to do it. And so there's already this kind of there's the possibility the only real fear basically is that people are going to just start ignoring these contracts in this system where you have to make a deal with a publisher before you do it, and basically that the publisher will just start claiming against everyone.
I don't think it'll become as big of a problem as we think, but
It's I don't think it's
yeah,
going to go anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. I think it's
yeah,
big. I think everyone's up in arms over nothing.
yeah.
So do you want to move on to this here next topic that I actually quite like?
Yeah, that's we can
It's
do
like
that.
my favorite thing of all week. Oh god, I've lost. I linked something wrong. Okay, here I
Oh
have it.
no. Oh,
So the next big thing is that Nintendo Direct was this week. It was on the 17th, and Nintendo Direct is always a big deal for me. I like Nintendo Direct because I own a Wii U. I plan on getting a 3DS, and I feel like it's a really good platform for them to announce all their games and show them off. I mean, it's an awesome platform for them. I mean, they tell you games are going to come out, and they give you a date when it's going to come out in your region. Basically, the reason why they're not even doing an E3 conference, or at least like a large, gigantic one, they're doing an E3 like conference, but they're not doing like a huge event like Microsoft or PlayStation did or Nintendo did a couple years ago. They're just doing a small one because Nintendo Direct is such a great platform for them to talk about what they want to do in specific regions. Because like Nintendo Direct gets there's a version of Nintendo Direct for Japan, there's a version for North America and Europe. And so they give you like better information regarding the games in your region than they ever did before.
right.
So I'm really liking Nintendo Directs, but they also announce pretty much all their games in it, and they announce all their big like game-changing shit that they're doing. And one of the things that they announced this week was that Sega and Nintendo are going to partner for 3 Sonic games. One of them being unannounced at this point.
Yep.
So the 2 Sonic games that are going to come out are going to be Sonic Lost World and Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Games.
We'll talk about Lost World first.
Sure.
I
So Lost Worlds is going to be the next like proper Sonic game, and it's exclusive to Wii U and 3DS. And I'm kind of excited about it already because just being exclusive to like the Wii U and the 3DS probably implies that it's not going to be terrible. Only because every Sonic game that's come out on like a Nintendo system has been good. Specifically Colors, which was a Nintendo exclusive. It was a Wii exclusive. And it's arguably the best Sonic game behind Sonic Generations. Probably.
Wait, Sonic Colors was where you had the team of 3 people, right? Or am I thinking of something different?
No, I think that's something else. Sonic Colors is very recent. It played like... Sonic Colors played like Generations. It played a lot like Generations. In fact, I believe there's levels from Colors and Generations.
I was thinking it's Sonic Heroes. Never mind. I
Yeah.
was way behind.
No, Sonic Colors is by... Okay, Sonic Colors came out just before Generations, and it's like an amazing Sonic game. It has a lot of... It's basically the 3D segments of Generations. And the 3D segments of Generations are like flawless mechanically for a 3D Sonic game. Like, those are exactly what they have to be from now on. Because they're awesome. They're substantially better than any other 3D Sonic game. And so, I'm particularly excited to see this, because I'm hoping that it's going to be along the lines of Colors, at least in quality and gameplay, because it would make sense that that would be the case.
Yeah, they haven't really announced anything, have they? Like, I mean, besides that picture you saw of like the world and Tails' ship going in.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to me that looks a lot like it just reminds me of Mario Galaxy, maybe because it's just like a circular world.
Yeah, and it's all like tile based, so I don't know what's going on with that, but
I guess you can't really.
I'm down with it.
Yeah.
I'll play it because I play almost every Sonic game. Well, I do play every Sonic game. Most of them are bad, or at least a lot of them were bad for a period. But I'm feeling like the next 3 are going to be good.
Oh, definitely.
Including the one that is arguably shovelware.
Which is
Mario and Sonic at the Sochi Olympic Games 2014.
I wouldn't call it shovelware, man.
Well, it's definitely a cash-in.
Yeah, but how long they've been doing that for a couple of years though now, haven't they?
Well, they've only done one other one, I believe.
Oh, never mind.
It was the London Games.
Oh,
so
yeah,
was
that's right.
2012.
I guess, yeah.
But I'm probably going to buy this only because it's looking charming, let's say. Specifically when they're like, yeah, so there's a part where we like in the Nintendo Direct, like they showed off the game a bit, and they're like, so a lot of the game we try to recreate the actual sports in the way that they're supposed to be played.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's all these tracks that are inspired by Sonic and Mario worlds, and you can race a person on a snowboard while you're in a bobsled racing another dude who's on skis. I'm like, perfect.
Exactly. I think this is exactly where Nintendo excels, and this is where they should keep going.
The Wii U doesn't have any sports games, and I feel like they could make something interesting with this, just with like the gamepad and the motion, like the mix of gamepad and motion controls could do something interesting. Like they have a mini game that they said is like you use the like motion controls and then you switch to the gamepad and then you switch back to the motion controls. And I think it's for the triathlon, or it's not called a triathlon. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember the name of the event, but it's when you ski and shoot a gun.
Oh,
biathlon. I don't know.
I don't know.
Biathlon would that be that you are doing a marathon with 2 events, but this is skiing. I don't know. The Iditarod, I don't know, man. It's an event.
Iditarod is definitely
it's a dog race.
Close enough, man. But
it's in the snow.
Yeah, it's cold. We're good. From what they show in the Nintendo Direct, it looks like a fun game. It looks, I don't know. It reminds me kind of like a Wii Sports-esque game where
but like with a bit more depth and silliness.
Yeah, and
like it's more of a game than Wii Sports, but it's like on that line. It's definitely casual as shit.
It's definitely got. the characters make it like a little bit better too, having like the option to use like Mario on them. It's just funny watching the clip of Sonic going down like the bumps on the
Yeah,
snow. He's like slow. I don't know. It just I like what you said, charming. It looks like that. So
yeah, it just looks quite silly. So I'm actually particularly excited like to be playing all these games that are possibly coming. Like Nintendo, every time they announce something on Nintendo Direct, I'm always just like, oh fuck, man, I want that so bad. Oh god, even if it's just something stupid like this, and this is like the first time I guess ever in a console generation. Like I've never been a huge. I've always liked Nintendo games. I don't think there's any Nintendo games that I don't like, but I've never been like huge on their consoles. And I feel
yeah,
like the Wii U. So I have like these. Give me a second. So I have like these fucking gigantic notebooks, and every like couple, you can't see it because you can't see my camera, but they're just notebooks that you usually can get at like your university store, and like they're just made for doing like your notes and shit in, and they're like split into sections. But I use them. I have fucking like 20 or 30 of them laying around in this room, and every time that I think of an idea for a game, I fill up one of those books with like a game design doc basically that
yeah.
I like handwrite out so I can draw shit. And fucking at least once or twice a month, I'll like wake up in the morning and I'll just be like, oh fuck, this is a game that would work amazingly on the Wii U for the gamepad, and I just like start writing out a game. And so like this is like the only console that I've ever been interested in because the control method is like it's gimmicky, but it fixes a lot of stuff. So like there's a lot of games that that you can make that you would never been able to make before. And so like the whole my big thing about the Wii U is that it feels like having an arcade system, like an arcadey system in your house, whereas like the Xboxes and the PlayStation are they're just PCs. So it's
Yeah.
just like fuck it, they're boring. The controller, like the traditional gamepad, is only a hindrance on game design. Um, there's some stuff that works better with it, but rarely.
Right.
There's like
And
it's a
that's
very small subset. Whereas like a touch screen and fucking motion controls and like what's that thing where it's got like I guess it's a gyroscope, right?
right.
Where like it
With
can sense the angle of the
yeah.
device.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all that stuff is useful that you can do shit with that you can't do with a PC.
Yeah.
So,
It no, it definitely like standalone from titles, like usually you buy a system because you like the genre. Like, I mean, Microsoft for Halo or other titles they have, Sony for Metal Gear Solid, that kind of stuff. Like, I think Nintendo does do that more than anybody else. Pushes the
Nintendo
envelope of
has
creativity. So
yeah, well their games are just interesting.
yeah, and
Whereas like Halo, it's been Halo since Halo
it's
1.
you can't get Nintendo games on any other system that like really compared to the experience you can have with them. I think, and that's what really sets them apart. I mean,
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we've talked about this a million times before, but also like
yeah,
the focus on playing with your friends, like actually with
yeah,
them, rather than fucking over the internet.
yeah. It
So,
it's definitely a reason to buy a console. I mean, especially because Nintendo's really online play hasn't really developed.
well, their
Like,
online stuff with the Wii U is a lot better than it was with the Wii. It's on par with PS Plus or PSN and Xbox Live, I'd say.
that's
The
good,
only
and
issue is the store is like it's system bound, not account bound, and that's something they need to change
yeah,
because that shit's stupid.
and I think like after getting their feet wet with this, they'll probably end up making some major improvements to it. But
Well,
it's
they've been
definitely
improving the eShop consistently.
yeah that
They've released Virtual Console about a month ago, and
yeah
that's awesome. I'm really glad that the VC is up now. They need to add more games to it. They're gonna bring N64 games to it. So
oh and that's I've been like having a real bad itch to play like a bunch of N64 games. So oh
Oh, what else happened in Nintendo Direct? They gave a release date for Wonderful 101, which was that game that we talked about. I believe.
It's by Alice, right?
No, it's by Platinum.
Oh, that's
Uh,
right.
it's the one that looks like Beautiful Joe, but
Yeah,
Pikmin. We talked about that with Brandon, I think.
yeah.
I think that was on the podcast Victor was on, where he passed out.
It might have been. I think it was that that game looks neat, but I haven't really seen a lot about it. Like
They showed
I
a
mean,
lot more gameplay footage this time around.
I know
Or
there's
no,
like
they didn't show more gameplay footage. I'm sorry, I
I think
lied. I just
some
showed
has
a
been
bunch of it off
released
to a
though,
friend.
but I just haven't like looked into it. I know it looks interesting. And then Platinum, didn't they make Bayonetta,
Yeah, and they're making Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U.
which is exclusive too, which I heard a lot of uproar at the beginning of like the announcement for all this.
Yeah, but that shit's retarded. No one can be upset. It wouldn't exist if Nintendo didn't pay for the whole thing.
Right.
So, and if they're paying for the whole thing, they can have it on their system.
Yeah, yeah, I think they deserve their right to exclusivity, but that's just what I think.
God, I can't remember everything that happened on Nintendo Direct, but
Pikmin, interested in that?
that's coming out in August. But they announced that last time,
Oh,
and then WarioWare
I
is
love those games.
next month.
It's like they're gonna announce more on it, or
No,
like
it's coming
releasing?
out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
That
it comes
is
out
that
in June.
is that a
Uh,
Wii U like or 3DS?
It's Wii U. It's called Game and Wario.
Oh man, I don't know if it was the original, but I got
It
one for the
comes out June
GameCube.
23rd.
I got WarioWare for the GameCube. Smooth Moves? No, no, that's definitely for the Wii. I don't know. I don't know why I have that, but I haven't played it. That's weird. WarioWare Mega Party game for the GameCube. Awesome game. I'm so
All the
happy I got that.
WarioWares are cool.
Yeah, I have one for the Wii and I barely played it. I gotta go back and get that. I think it's because I don't have that many controllers. So that's definitely a party game, and I
Yeah,
could play.
this one is like there's a few multiplayer. Like half the games are multiplayer, half of them are single player. The mini games.
Okay.
But I'm excited for that. That comes out at the end of June, so we're like a month away. I'll probably review that because I have a capture card that I have not used in a very extended period of time. I don't think I've used it since like Nintendo Land and Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed.
Nintendo Land when I got my Wii U.
Yeah, the two
Don't-
games I had when I got my Wii U.
You better watch out though. You might get taxed, or
I can't monetize my content anyways, so fucking who cares? I'm not a partner. This only affects Game Grumps, those terrible humans.
Game Grumps.
Yeah. Let's move on to our next topic because our next and final topic, the one that we can yell loudly about angrily, even though I feel like I am terribly underqualified and don't have much of a say in this being Canadian, not a gun nut, and not a lawyer. But let's do this. So, Joe Biden and various religious leaders that gathered, I guess, last week to basically discuss gun control and gun violence in the United States don't see a problem with putting a sin tax on violent video games.
What?
Okay, so the first thing that really is the issue here is that you need to know what a sin tax is, and a sin tax is what the government basically puts on cigarettes and alcohol and probably porn, but I don't
It's
know.
exactly what it sounds like then. It's,
Well, the reason why, okay, the things that have sin taxes on them have been directly shown to kill people,
oh, well,
and guns don't have a sin tax on them because that implies that they're bad and that guns kill people. So the thing is that the only two things that really have sin taxes on them are cigarettes, which kill people. We have decades of research showing they kill people. If you smoke cigarettes, You'll
You
likely die
you
because of
will
them.
die. Yeah.
Well, everyone will die, but you'll likely die because of your cigarettes and not that
Hey,
you were struck by lightning. And so, and then alcohol, if you are an alcoholic and you drink a lot, you'll probably die because of liver failure. Like, alcohol kills you, cigarettes kill you, violent video games don't kill you.
yeah. I mean, I to be honest, I think it's just a press thing. I don't think. I, at the same time, though, like it might not be. I don't really follow politics that much, so I'm not really. And then like I'm not really big into that whole gun control issue because it doesn't really affect me. But it's kind of ridiculous, and it almost seems so far fetched that like why would this even happen? But apparently it is real.
Well, like, the syntax that they were talking about was basically that, like, they would put a tax on violent video games and they would give that money back to like the families and victims of mass shootings. But even the government's own fucking like research shows that people who commit mass shootings don't even prefer playing violent video games. In fact, like, the Secret Service did a study on this, and I talked about this a bunch of times around the Sandy Hook thing. And the Secret Service did a study, and it's basically 1/8 of people who commit mass shootings play violent video games, 1/8 of them listens to violent music, 1/8 of them watches violent movies, and over half of them reads and writes violent literature. Where's the syntax on books? Like,
Right. It's
if no one would ever think to do that to books, because it's a book, you can't. That directly is like that's a First Amendment breaching thing to many Americans, is like burning, is like taxing books because they're violent. And also, no one would ever burn books because that seems like you're trying to stop, like, that's such an ignorant thing to do, to burn books. It's not okay to burn books. But to burn video games and to tax video games is okay when, even with no, like, correlation doesn't equal causation, but we don't even see a correlation between video games, like violent video games and mass shootings, let alone an actual direct cause.
right. And it's just another form of media, and I feel like they like if you tax one, you have to tax all the others because you can't just single out video games for being the like the sole reason behind the shootings. And plus, like distributing the money back to victims. I mean, yeah, that sounds like a goodwill idea, but at the same time, like you said, you can't prove that like the relation of violent video games and violent people. So why would like that money go to those people because it doesn't relate? Like it just like it doesn't add up. You're
It's a stupid populist movement again, but he did backtrack pretty hard, saying that they would need to do studies and
right.
look at the legality of doing such a thing. After, in the actual meeting, they're like, there's no legal reason why we couldn't just do this. It seems morally
Yeah.
correct.
I mean, it's kind of a bad statement on their part then if because it's not unknown that there's been a ton of research done on this. I mean, it's such a hot topic now too that that's even like more like prevalent that you can like find that information. But it's kind of weird that they would even go and say that.
Yeah, it's incredibly
And,
frustrating. And then the other issue is, like, where do you draw the line on what's violent and not violent?
and and where like
Because, like, to me, I would say that, like, a game like, what do you consider more violent? Like, the NHL games or Zelda? Because, like, in
right,
Zelda, there's not blood or anything, and you're killing fantasy creatures. Whereas in hockey games, like, you're somewhat encouraged to fight with a real life person, like an actual existing human, against another actual existing human.
right.
So it's like, is the NHL game a violent video game? Like, is football a violent like is the are the NFL games a violent video game?
Right, and I feel like you don't. I feel like this is just pointless because there's a rating system, and the rating system like enforces to us that hey, this has mature content in it, and I, f- I don't get why we should punish video games to try like there's no I don't see the purpose behind it really.
The
Like
okay, I know
I
that
mean
someone's probably gonna get pissed at me for this, but like one of the major problems related to this is that people are essentially trying to punish video games for America's lack of gun control, specifically a lack of a national gun control system, because like you can't. Okay, so I used to live in Mexico, and so this is partially why I feel like I can definitely talk about this because America's gun control policies like very directly affected my way of life for like several years. And state regulated gun control is a fucking joke because it leads to basically this huge issue in the United States where guns are smuggled across state borders and then ultimately into other countries. Because you can go to a state like Florida and buy whatever fucking gun you want with basically no ID, no background checks, no nothing. And then you can just drive across the country for 3 days and take it to LA. And it's a huge issue. And so basically, because of an entirely broken political system, both Canada has it and the US has it. And it's mainly a system based on lobbying so that only rich people can be truly a part of the democratic process. And so now you have a gun lobby, which is the NRA, basically pushing on politicians so that shit that everyone wants passed doesn't get passed, such as universal background checks and stupid shit like this. And so because lobbies, specifically gun ones, can't deal with a universal background check with universal background checks, they have to blame something that doesn't have a huge lobby like video games. And it's so fucking broken as a political system. It's retarded.
and you definitely will catch shit for that because
That's the most political I'm ever going to get on this podcast.
That's why I hate politics. But
I used to live in the US too, but I had to relinquish my citizenship because dual citizenship in the United States is fucking broken. Basically, when I turned old enough to have to pay taxes, I would have to pay taxes in Canada and the US, even though I don't live in the US. Or work in the US. So I had to relinquish my citizenship. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Fucking broken ass country. Deal with it. So yeah, I'm a little upset about this syntax thing and the last several months because a lot of my family still lives in the US and I would like to move back one day when I get my citizenship back. But this is fucking stupid and broken. And I can't. It's so incredibly frustrating living in Canada and watching like a lot of the same shit happen, and also knowing that a lot of the things that happen in the US directly affect me like living here because that shit just leaks over forever. So it's really frustrating watching some of the most retarded shit I've ever seen in my life happen. And I just hope that in the next 80 years of my life, because I'm assuming I'm going to live to 101, that I don't see more retarded shit. Because if I see anything stupider than this, I'm going to be fucking astounded. Because I can't believe how a policy backed by 90% of Americans could not fucking pass. That's astounding. I'm fucking... You should want to puke as an American. That's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in politics. But that's okay. So what's your opinion on the syntax?
I mean, obviously, I don't like. It's just ridiculous, and it shouldn't happen. But I have so many more questions of like how this could even happen, and like you said, how do you really like establish what is like too violent, because you have community standards that differ from community to community. So I don't know. I just think it's fucking ridiculous, and that if it happens, it's going to be. I mean, I don't know. Like I feel like I could get pushed over really easy if it did happen. Then like, how do you change that? Because not that the gaming community doesn't really have like a lot of power, but I don't know. Like,
It's just going to be interesting to see
this,
where video games go, like in the next year and a half to 2 years, as like a result of all this kind of like all of this research and all of this kind of push from basically people who don't really understand the hobby to regulate them.
yeah,
And like there seems to be over the last several years, I mean even in Canada we have the same issues. We have like new piracy bills and internet related bills. They're not quite as bad as SOPA and CIPPA or whatever. SOPA was like the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. I was terrified to see that almost pass because it would affect me as a Canadian for no goddamn good reason. Mostly because I live past the 49th parallel, so I live so close to the United States that like a lot of my like my internet infrastructure is like very directly tied to Seattle. So because
yeah,
that's what living on the West Coast is. But like we don't have a huge amount of infrastructure for like internet stuff. So if you guys just decided to start blocking shit on your DNS server, then I don't know where I'm going to route to because there's not one here. So yeah, there's just like a lot of. It's going to be interesting to see where technology and video games go in the next couple years because of like this huge push from politicians in the West, specifically Canada and the US, to basically regulate them. When it seems like such a silly idea to bother regulating them. Like, why regulate the internet? Why regulate video games? I mean, we don't. Like, movies aren't regulated, for example, and those have been around forever. So why. Like, you can make a movie about whatever you want. I'm sure if you made a movie about. That was, like, incredibly racist, though, that it wouldn't, gain any traction or be mainstream, but you're allowed to do that.
right.
So why can't you do it with video games? What makes video games different? And I guess it's somewhat the interactivity, but an incredibly racist video game still attracts the same people that are attracted to incredibly racist movies. So like the interaction doesn't make it like a more volatile media, at least to me, because it it's going to attract the exact same people. Like it's not that it's a video game, it's the content of the video game that
Right.
attracts those people. So it's stupid.
It's they're being too general, like with their idea, and it should be more of a like widespread like syntax on content rather than just video games. It should be movies,
Well,
books.
no,
I
there
mean, like,
shouldn't be any.
well, I mean,
The idea
there's
of it
certain.
is fucking stupid in the first place. I
Oh
mean, if
no,
they do it, they're gonna have to do it for all media. I think that's very
that's what I'm saying.
apparent.
Is it's an even more ridiculous idea to like section out video games from every other type of media, because just because I don't know, it's not even a new media, which is weird because it's been
Well,
around
video
for
games are pretty new. I mean, they're only 30 years old. Movies are over 100.
but
Music's even older than that.
it, like that just means that there's more movies out there that could be violent than video games. I mean, why, like,
There's some incredibly violent movies. There's
yeah,
some incredibly graphically disturbing movies
like
as well.
all horror movies are I mean, some are psychological, some are gory, and they're slashers because they have excessive violence in them. How do you say that a movie such as Saw or Hostel is less violent than a game like Tomb Raider? Or I mean, it's kind of a bad example, but I just
Then
hate
Call of Duty or
Call of
Halo or
Duty,
Manhunt or
Postal. I mean, like, anything
And
that
like
had
it's such a different type of violence. Like I could play pretty much any video game. I don't really care how like violent it gets, I guess, because I'm desensitized to video game violence. But I
right.
can't watch Saw. That it's disgust. It's gross.
Yeah,
I can't watch it. It's really disturbing to me to watch that stuff. I can't do it. But I can shoot 300 nondescript brown people in COD, and that's okay.
right. And I feel like
So
a
like,
person, like a horror movie buff, can sit through anything and say like, and they're desensitized to movies just as like we're desensitized to games. It's just whatever form of media you choose to be your niche. You like that's it. Like it's there's no different. I don't know. There's no difference to me, but
yeah, it's such a stupid idea, and I'm not happy about it.
no.
So
But you can't. To be honest, like you can't do anything about it too, which is kind of. I mean, you can speak up and fight the government, but you live in Canada.
I live in Canada. I had to get rid of my citizenship because I can't pay 2 cents of taxes.
Well, I mean, that's
Fucking stupid. It's okay though. We don't need to talk about
how
all of my
pissed.
problems with the United States government and me wanting to still retain my citizenship but not pay 2 cents of taxes because that shit's retarded. I'm pretty astounded actually that that's the case. I didn't know it was until I moved back to Canada and turned 18 and went, "Oh fuck, I have to get rid of my citizenship." But that's a discussion for another day. You want to play some video games or something?
Possibly,
Possibly.
possibly, yeah. I had homework due tomorrow, and then
Fun.
yeah, it's just been a whirlwind of shit.
Well,
So,
let's
uh,
wrap up this podcast and then we'll talk about maybe dipping into some games.
sounds good.
So I've been your host Ryan, and that man's been Tyler. He's back.
Back for good.
Excellent. And this has been the Dapper Gaming Podcast, and we'll see you guys next week to talk about the Xbox.
Oh yeah.
That's the big reveal tomorrow. I'm excited to see how mediocre it is. So good night.